Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Stories Around Azeroth with myself, Pete, Titans Creed Netherco, and as always, joined by my lovely co-host, the greatest gnome on the face of Azeroth himself, one Mr. Frazzletastic. How are you today, sir?
I am doing awesome. I am ready for an awesome week this week. I'll just put out there, we're doing VBS this week, and I'm excited. So these kids are going to wear me out all week. Yeah!
Phrasing.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Brilliant stuff. As always, we're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions. This will be up on the YouTube and the podcast catchers at some point during the week. Hopefully they work this week. So I do apologise about the delay on the previous episode. Out of my hands, unfortunately. There was a bit of website doohickery and everything else that was going. But it's there. And welcome back for a new episode. How has Azeroth treated you this week, Mr. Frazley?
It's been great. And I have been enjoying the Iron Man. I have my Horde Hunter up to the Zandalari forever, and I just got to finish the war campaign. And then I also have to get it over to the I have to finish the war campaign. But you know who's evil? Who's an evil little gnome?
Capo.
Well, not Capo, but a little gnome is evil. A little Frazley has an eye that makes them all evil.
I took the gift and I did not give back. I was like, nope, you can't have this gift back, N'Zoth. It's mine.
I imagine there will be some shenanigans that will happen at maybe if the last raid of the expansion is N'Zoth, we'll find out down the line. There might be some fun doohickery.
Wait, hold on. I'm hearing something. No, I don't want to kill Tyson Creed. He's a cool person. Stop it. No, I will not kill Tyson Creed. Okay. Sorry. I'm back. Yes. Keep going.
Back in the room, yeah?
Yeah, back in. No! Titan's Creed makes me laugh. I've got a good time. I will not kill him, because if I kill him, then that's one less podcast I'm on. Sorry.
I mean, maybe it sounds like N'Zoth's working in your favor there. I'll be honest with you.
No one's in my ear. I don't hear anybody. In my ear.
But it sounds like you're getting there with your Horde campaign. You're going to get close to getting your mounts. That's it.
Yes. And I was talking with my friend Matt today, and I'm excited now for the Magyar Orcs and the Zandalari Trolls, because I'm hearing about some of the stuff that happens with those. And guess what I also got to do now? I got to level another alt. I got to level a Blood Elf. I got to get the Heritage Armor.
Yeah, you do. Because
Not
that's what
this armor
I've done this week.
Yes. So yeah, what did you do this week?
What did I do this week? Right, so I streamed getting the last 3 levels of my Blood Elf to get it to 120 this week.
Nice.
It was hard work because I, like an absolute idiot, went into normal islands and RNG'd into the worst alts and players imaginable, and oh my god. There's a big difference because I've gone all the way from Mythic Islands on my main Blood Elf, not my main Night Elf Demon Hunter at item level 400, to doing normal islands in 240 gear, and it's horrible. It's literally horrible. Oh my goodness. But, you know, I bumped into some interesting people, mythic geared people in normal islands, because apparently that's the easiest way to farm the pets and the mounts. But we got my Blood Elf to 120. We've done the Heritage Armor quest as well, which is fun. It is a very, very good bit of storied history into the Blood Elves. And more specifically, Warcraft 3 and Arthas's march towards Silvermoon. So, if you've played Warcraft 3, it's very, very good. If you haven't played Warcraft 3 and are waiting for the remaster to come out, the remake to come out down the line, it's really good. It's really worth doing. And now, after that, we did a stream poll to see what I was going to level next. And the Gnome Warrior has won.
Yes!
I've taken it through dungeons and bits and pieces so far. And I've decided to tank. I don't normally tank. Normally I just DPS and just DPS through. But I've tanked so far. and I think we just hit level 28 today.
Nice. So are you having just a little fun?
I'm actually really enjoying tanking on the Gnome Warrior. Yeah, it's a bit of fun, actually. It's pretty cool. Ali, well, it's saved on yesterday's stream, so it's visible if you haven't done it. But I do recommend you do it. It's a lot of fun to do. It really is. What they've done with the Heritage Armor quest is so good.
Can I just recreate the sound of a gnome with the sword? Yeah.
I'll be honest. The gnome tanking melee animations are really good. I didn't expect them to be that good. They're Pandaren levels of good.
Yeah, and it's so cool. I mean, just like this little gnome giving it, yeah, just giving it its all.
It is super fun. But yeah, I really looking forward to see what the Gnome Heritage questline is going to be. I've got to get a dwarf up at some point because the dwarf heritage is available now as well.
Yeah, I realized I gotta level my my evil dwarf priest because my dwarf priest had a little void in it back in vanilla. And I was thinking of like the dwarves and stuff like that, and like it has that name Rotten. Yeah.
Okay, I just made a dwarf death knight because it starts at level 55 and I skip everything.
Smart.
Yeah.
This one's at 60 because I worked all the way in vanilla.
Ah, well, there we go. So yes, I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to ask you what your favourite story in WoW is this week.
I would have to say, you mean like overall?
Yeah,
just like,
overall. What's your favourite story, lore-wise or anything else in WoW? Let's have a chat about that.
I like the Pandaren areas, and I like that inner turmoil of like the dark and the light and the shaws of like doubt and all that, and how like a little thing can fester up and turn into a big thing. Because I've been thinking a lot about like ideas and like ideas in our heads, and kind of. I had a friend who just recently got out of a dark place, and I think they could really do a lot more with the Mist storyline and bring it back. And I like the area, but I love that internal conflict.
That's interesting. Because I like the fact that the Shah and everything else were connected to Pandaren specifically, and I mean that's what a lot of the animation storyline of the 7 steps of Xiao Hao, the little mini series that's still available on YouTube. I do suggest going back and watching that at some point. By the way, it's still very well done. I get what you're saying. I mean, it would be interesting to see if there was more fallout. Like, did Garrosh bring something else that was Shah related back to the shores of Azeroth, and still hidden away somewhere within the depths of Orgrimmar? That would be interesting.
Because it's the one thing that we have the most control over as a character. That we disrupted what was a pretty well peaceful nation, but then we also are different because of Pandaren as well. That we affected them and they affected us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, who knows? I mean, maybe we'll go back there at some point. I don't know if there's any more stories to tell on Pandaria. I think they wrapped it up pretty well. I don't know. There's always something more you could do with the Klaxi. I mean, if you do the islands, you do find a bit of Klaxi Amber, which does say that they've elected a new empress. So they obviously can start a new Klaxi incursion at some point. We might get another story regarding that. I mean, speaking of those bits and pieces and everything else, in the islands I've done this week, I found a black dragon scale, and I get told to try and find Rathian at Blackrock Mountain. And I found a Twilight dragon scale, and that sent me to the Twilight Highlands to try and find who was leading the Twilight Dragonflight now, because they were thought to be defeated after Sinestria, even though we know at the end of Dragon Soul that Deathwing still had some Twilight dragons still around. So
these these are modern islands that took you back to those zones.
No. These are island expeditions, and then there's there's black dragons and Twilight Dragon incursions, and they dropped the quest items. So, if you remember not last week, the week before, when we were talking about the Dragon Isles,
yeah,
the Black Dragon scale takes us to go find Rathian at Blackrock Mountain. Now, you actually fly up and you go to the entrance to Blackrock Descent. Rathian's not there, but one of his Talon Guard are. And in that quest text, it actually says that Rathion's gone looking for the Dragon Isles, and the other Dragonflights aren't being forthcoming with the details of it.
Ooh, so they're kind of hinting, because doing the Xalatath, you had mentioned the Black Empire last week. So then I'm doing the Xalatath quest line. I did not realize that Xalatath was the blade of the Black Empire.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Did you never level a Shadow Priest during Legion?
Nope. And I need to go back and do that. So I never did that.
When you get your priest to Legion, go to the Order Hall. And I think you don't get the whole book until you get to 110. But if you go and read the book, it tells you all about the Xalatath's adventures from the birth of the Black Empire up to the modern day.
Wow.
There's stuff like Alanath as well. There's stories of Alanath through time and all bits and pieces. Like, this is what I really, really enjoyed about Legion, is that it gave us the sense of class story that we hadn't seen since Classic or anything else.
Yeah, like the warriors in there. Like I mainly did the warriors, and because I was only doing one all at the time, but I loved the focus on the Vrykul and Odin and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I still of the feeling that the arms warrior should have had Varian's weapon.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my brain actually my brain has actually lost me with the name of this weapon. I can't remember what it's called. Charlemagne. But obviously they gave it to Anduin because they had the story they wanted to tell with that. But it's having those books in the class hall that tell you about all the storied history of the artifact, that tied in with all the class stuff as well, and your class fantasy and getting the class specific mounts. Legion was so good for that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah, and going to the tie-ins to Pandaria in the Zandalari quest line. Yep. There are Mogu.
Yep.
So the reaches of Pandaria extend farther than just the Pandaria, and that's why it's interesting that they bring some of this older content back to the front.
I think it's what they're aiming to do. Is that, I mean, they've got a lore department which is obviously there, and it's turning around and go, well, we can put down all these hints of various bits and pieces. I mean, we discussed previously that we know the next expansion we're going to get is going to be still Sylvanas based because it's her trilogy, her saga, her story. But you know, after that, we don't know what's going on. They've got all the different seeds in place to extend that story.
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
And they've said that there is way more than the Burning Legion. I think in a way they wanted to get done with the Burning Legion because be like, we focused on the Burning Legion for so long. It's time to focus on even deeper things. We have better engines nowadays. We have better story writing. We can do even. I mean, the Burning Legion was cool. I think we were all kind of tired of it. Like, okay, we're ready to be done with it because there's so many more stories with more nuances to tell about. I mean, right now I'm loving with the Forsaken the focus on like one of the quests I did was about a father who became Forsaken and was trying to turn back to his family. And the family was disowning them. And I was talking with somebody like even before the storm speaks to people of like minorities, different things because of like being turned away by your family. There are so many stories to tell that can be actually be more related because I don't know anybody here who's a demon. I mean, other than Capo or Allie with the Void and stuff like that. No, I was not a demon. Allie's awesome. Hard hands. But yeah, there are more varied stories we can tell.
There's a lot. that they can do. I'm still riding high on the idea of that Infinite Dragonflight expansion that I threw out last week. I think that has so much promise to go back to the old world and give us those changes. I still really want that in the back of my heart, even though I know it would be the start of a new trilogy and everything else based on, you know. But again, it'd just be interesting to see where it would take us, because who knows? Like the Infinite Dragonflight might be the only way that we could revert the world back to a point before N'Zoth, you know, takes the pushes Azeroth out of the world itself and inhabits that Titan.
I meant to ask you. I was talking with Matt about the idea from last week.
Yeah,
and he said the problem he sees with the next expansion, we've already visited, because he was reminding me, if we listened to Dungeon Fables with the Covenant of Time, we would already know that we've already done time traveling dragons.
Yeah, but there's still so much more we can do. Remember that at the end of Dragon Soul, all the Dragonflight lost their powers, but we still know that the Infinite Dragonflight comes apart regardless of the fact that the Dragonflights lost their powers. The Infinite Dragonflight are still a thing. Murozond is still going to be a thing, because Murozond is inevitable, essentially, at this point. So whether they turn around and just do small pockets of the Infinite Dragonflight here and there, you know, we've still seen Murozond turn around in end time and say that he's seen the true end time, and that's not it. We know that there's more to come at some point. Yeah, Ali says in chat about the new tailoring questlines and stuff with the Infinite Dragonflight. I haven't done it. There's loads more to come. The Infinite Dragonflight were a part in how Garrosh went back, and we got Warlords of Draenor specifically as well. And as I mentioned last week, if you do the Maghar Orc questline, you get reminded of the fact that there's a bronze dragon overlooking Garrosh's throne with Anachronos. And that was one of the times that we looked back while doing that questline at the end of Mists of Pandaria from the Timeless Isle. There is more to the Infinite Dragonflight. Absolutely. And I want them to absolutely just do a whole expansion with it. Let us go back and let us, as I said last week, have a look at those alternate things where, say, Van Cleef takes over Stormwind. You know, the Stonemasons rule that. Garrosh takes over the Horde and does good. Who knows? He might take over the Horde and not make it about the new Horde. Oh my goodness. I forget how many Hordes there were. You've got the original Horde, you've got the Iron Horde, you've got the new Horde, you've got the Fell Horde. So many orcish terms for Horde. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And they're just hoarding all the good names.
That's it. They are hoarding all of the good names. They just can't choose one. Why can't they choose one?
They want them all. I mean, come on.
It's brilliant. No, I'm still deeply. I want it, but as well with all of these small storylines that they've put in with the island quests and everything else, a part of me wants Blizzard to do what Star Wars did after the first 3 films, like 7, 8, and 9. Not 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, and 6. And
yes,
let there be an official, like, extended canon. Like, instead of us getting a book which ties an expansion to the next expansion, let them turn around and give us a book which turns around and goes, Rathian looking for the Dragon Isles and his adventures trying to talk to Alexstrasza, Caligos, you know, Nosdormu and everything else. See what Nosdormu's travels through time were when he was stuck there before Thrall happened to help him out. You know, we could... No, go ahead.
And just as long as with Star Wars, they don't then turn around and then get bought by somebody and destroy the extended universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why you do more than one book. You know, you got to make sure that because they work with the lore team. You know,
yeah.
Christy Golden's now obviously on board with Blizzard, working at Blizzard, and you know that's why some of the stories have come a bit better than where they were. But it would be really good to see more external content, even though a lot of people will argue that going outside the game of World of Warcraft to find stories that are told and everything else is probably a bit anti. I was going to say anti-consumer, but it's not intuitive, because you want all the lore to be in game, don't you? Even though I'm quite sure when you were young and first wanted to get into the lore of Warcraft, you did what I did. Just go visit Wowhead and Wowpedia and sit on there, and WoWWiki, and just sit on there for hours upon end and just follow links.
One thing they could do, it would involve a compromise of sorts. What I love about the Elder Scrolls universe, a lot of the lore bits are in books. Like even Elder Scrolls Online, you can read a book inside. So they could compromise if they're okay with the profit potential loss. Sell you a book here, but then also put bits and pieces of the book as a tome that you can find around the world. I think that would bridge the gap. Give you like the main pieces that you need to know. Because even like the books inside of Elder Scrolls are not as varied and not as detailed as ones outside. But you can put the details you need to know, and then add on to things. The same way that they're adding like there's a quest in Daenerys, and I won't say anymore, that adds on to a storyline that was started in a book.
So you want stuff like what they're already doing, which is the small nods to the stuff that's written in the books and everything else.
And fill you in the game on what you need to know, but then you can expand it. So you can play the game and get exactly what you need to know, and you can even read like say you're at this place and be like, I think it'd be cool, like a bigger dungeon guide. I could go into a dungeon. What's going on here? And instead of having to go outside, there happens to be a tome right in this house next to the thing that talks about the lore of this thing. And then if you want more, you go buy the book that expands on everything that's said in it. So you can get all the stuff. You don't need to buy the book to get the lore. You get more of the lore outside of it.
That makes sense. It makes sense, but then they've also got to sell the book, Fraz. They've got to make some money.
Oh, I know. That's why you add on to the book. So like they give you like the Reader's Digest Cliff Notes version in a book. So you read it, you understand what's going on. And if you want more, and expand it, because I mean, Before the Storm to me was worth the money for all the stuff that I got in it, because it added to my enjoyment of the game. In fact, I still need to read Elegy, because that expands on the lore.
Yeah, I've still got those in the box, the collector's edition box. Actually, I think I've taken them out, looked at them, and not read them yet. So
yeah,
because I think I just read them online.
I was listening to Before the Storm all the way back from a trip over July, so I was ready for the start of the expansion with the.
Yeah, because they had the audiobook ready at the same time as the launch, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that's what we do need as well. More of those audio dramas, like the ones they did for Legion. I'd like more of those.
Christy Golden's been working on that. She's been recording some of the earlier books and narrating them as audiobooks.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But I also think it would be cool to have like smaller books as podcasts, because you know, Blizzard, you have a bunch of great podcasters. No, I'm not saying it would be me, but I'm saying because I think I would not do it justice for like one of those things. But I think you have a lot of great podcasters out there. What if you gave them a few audiobooks and said, read on script, we will approve what you do before we release it. But how cool would it be if they got community people to read off these different books?
The problem with that, and I like the idea, don't get me wrong, I like having more notable people in the community brought in to do stuff like that. The problem is obviously, A, flying them out to get it done, B, paying them for their time, because it'll have to be done in-house for the studio and everything else. But C, the minute you start involving the community in ways outside of just, what's the word I'm looking for? Summits, community summits and everything else like that, and getting their advice and giving them the early previews, is that you then lead into the fact that you might get some community people that turn around and go, well, I clearly think I'm better at that job than that person. And
that's a good point.
It can lead into a bit of animosity and everything else. And the last thing you want especially a podcasting community where everybody can work with each other, is to turn around and go, well, I'm not going to work with you because you went over there, and I think I'm better at doing that job than you were. So You don't really want that sort of animosity and everything else. So it's a good idea.
That's true.
I like it, but I mean that's why they get notable people to read these things and everything else. And that's why Stephen Fry does so many audiobooks.
Yeah,
Because-
and like I said, I would not be that one to do that because I don't have that skill. I mean, I'm working on it, but it's not one of my skills.
Absolutely. But yeah, you made me
So
think
how
about the Pandaria stuff some.
So then, what would you say is your favorite story?
Well, I'm a sucker for anything dragons and anything time travel. So, of course, the War of the Ancients is a lovely book. It's one of the biggest books I read every now and again. See, I almost wish I had a setup similar to what Gin does, but for the Morally Grey podcast, but like so that you could be able to see all of my Warcraft stuff. But look at that! Look how thick that is.
I can't see anything. So,
Oh, of course you can't.
That's amazing! Wow, that is thick. Wow, that is big.
It's a big
Wow,
one. Yeah.
that is really big and thick and long.
The amount of people on the stream can see it. I've had to do some finicky setups, so we're not both able to see each other on Discord today. But I love this book. It's pretty good. It's a very good read. If you want to
Hold that.
Thanks, Fraz. If you want to get started on any Warcraft reading, this will keep you busy for the longest time. It's so good. Fraz, you've got the chat open. You can look at the stream.
No, I've got it in pop-out chat, so that way
Right.
I'm trying to save my bandwidth because I have. You know, the gnomes don't have good ISPs. That's one thing that we don't have.
I would have thought the
Our
gnomes would have the best ISPs. They are literally tech gods.
Well, we do, but it just comes up short.
Oh, for God's sake. I'm only going to get more of this as I level more and more of my troll. More and more of my gnome. But speaking of trolls, next reset is World Quest XP. So I'm hoping to get my Zandalari to Exalted and finish the Vol'jin questline and unlock the Vol'jin and unlock the Zandalari trolls. So that's what I'm hoping to talk about this week. It's going to be the Zandalari troll quest chain.
Nice.
Then we'll see where I am with my gnome. Who knows? What are your goals for the next week in Warcraft? Any stories that you're hoping to tell next week?
I'm hoping that I can get more of the work campaign done. I'm also planning to do some more of the irons. So nothing out of like the ordinary, because until Mechagon and Nashtar happen,
that's going to
all
be
that,
fun, actually.
I'm going to be all. And I'm thinking, like, today I was talking with Matt and we were talking about like Mechagon and Nashtar and all the things that are going to be like, we're going to find stories in both of these. And you brought up an interesting point. Now, this is a spoiler for the next about a minute. If you look on the drop tables for Eternal Palace, you mentioned it's a treasure chest, and you're right.
Yes. So Blizzard recently, in the last week, released the mounts and pets available from both Nazjatar and Mechagon. To which point I looked through there and saw that there was a pet drop that was available, or a toy drop. I think it's a pet that can drop from Ashara. But it doesn't drop from Ashara's body and instead drops from a chest. So my thoughts that I immediately put is, and I put it in a Discord so it wouldn't be like in a way that nobody would just read it and go, oh, you've spoiled it for me. But yeah, it looks like we might not be killing Ashara since it's a chest that happens. So, which is good. Not killing a really major character like that when we first see her, you know, is good.
Because we've been waiting for them for the biggest time. I mean, one of the biggest complaints about Warlords, aside from Garage, was all these things that you kill. You have all these Warlords you've heard about. They're dead. Like they're throwaway bosses. And I think it's cool that we're going to have a boss that we're going to go after.
I think, it's really good. I really hope Ashara has a lot of appearances through the dungeon. Like, one of the biggest things that stuck for me, at least through Wrath, is that Arthas, as the Lich King, was everywhere. Like, here's a good example. He's there at the end of Drak'Tharon Keep, because you find out that the troll, I forget his name, but the troll turns out he's working with the Lich King. The Lich King empowers him, and that's why you've got Zaldrak, and you've got that whole point there because he's building he's turned all those trolls into the undead for the Lich King. He's in one of the Vrykul dungeons at the very beginning, and if you also die and you're in the Howling Ford, Arthas is there. And if you run up to him while you're dead, he just kills you while you're dead. You didn't know about that, did you?
No.
Arthas is everywhere in... Like, everywhere you go, there's at least... I think there's at least a quest in every zone in Northrend where Arthas appears. Whether it's in the dungeon for that zone or in the zone itself in some capacity.
You're right, because I was doing one of the ones where I don't remember which Northman zone, but you go, you become a ghoul. You go up into the thing, helping the other
Zaldrak, yeah.
Yeah, Zaldrak, yeah. And at one point, the Lich King comes in and is about to kill you, and then he's like, "I will let you go this one time."
Yep.
I had to do that.
Oh, that's fine. I expect it these days, you to just turn around and do random ones like that. I hope
Am I that predictable?
Yes, now and again. I fully expect the fact that we'll see a lot of Ashara words in the palace. That's what I want her influence to be there, and I want to see her. And we know we see her before Lady Ashvane. There's some story there. I hope we see her before all the other bosses giving it an influence in those bits and pieces. It'll be interesting to see. But I just want more. Like Ashara is a big influence in the War of the Ancients, you know?
Oh yeah. And like I'm in Vashj'ir, and Ashara's all over the place. I mean, Ashara's in Black Fathom Depths. I mean, you see it all over the place.
Yeah.
We had the Wrath of Ashara in Legion.
That's true. The Wrath of Ashara is in Legion. We see her there. Black Fathom Deep. She's in Old Darkshore as part of a questing area.
That's right. So we'll get to see that in... Oh, that'll be a classic
Whether they've
moment.
updated her model there now, and she's not just a standard Naga, that'll be interesting.
Probably not in Classic.
No, absolutely not in Classic, but it'll be interesting. I definitely want to see what they're going to do with it. You know, I'd like... My only disappointing thing is that the raid for the Palace isn't going to open for at least 2 weeks after the patch launches, which is to be expected. But apparently Mechagon doesn't open for 3 weeks after the patch launches. So
What?
The actual dungeon itself, the Mega Dungeon, doesn't open for 3 weeks after the patch launches.
Does the zone open up?
The zone I believe is open, but the dungeon's not.
Okay. I'll take that. Okay. So I'm like, that was the first thing I want to do is I want to go in there and I mean, I'm going to be Mechagon. I'm going to be flying around. Well, not flying around until you complete both zones, but that's my irons will take us break for a little while because I'm going to be in Mechagon in Nashatar.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see the story of Mechagon. I've tried to stay away from it, and Nashatar hasn't even got his full story available, and a lot of people haven't really talked about that yet, which astounds me. Of course, everybody's got a lot of classic hype at the moment.
Yeah, and you got to follow the big stuff.
You do, but I'm looking forward to the main stuff. We've got our goals for next week. Hopefully, I can talk about the Zandalari stuff next week. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I think we're at pretty much the end of the episode. It's going to be a nice short one again. Doesn't need to be too long.
Time flies, and also a plug. You are on the latest Frazlecast.
Yes, I was. We talked about me, all
Yes.
of me, for about an hour. Where would they be able to find that if they want to listen to that, Mr. Frazley?
You can find it at gnomepodcast.com. It is episode 110, and that number still blows me out of the water. Just like that. This is one of my longest running projects. So
2 years, 1 a week. Have you missed a week yet?
Not yet, and that's my goal, is to not miss a week.
There you go. So you've been going for over 2 years, and may many more years come. I believe Ali in the chat is celebrating. Well, in the UK, it's now the 10th of June. So technically, you've been going for a whole year, I believe. So
Yes, and they just released an awesome episode that hopefully by the time this is out, I've listened to. So I'll just say that it's awesome. I'm just going to go off of that.
Where would they be able to find Ali's podcast, Mr. Frazley?
At dungeonfables.com.
There we go. Another good shout out. Go and check Dungeon Fables as well. Where can they find you around the internet, Mr. Frazley, if they'd like to find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Frazleytastic, and you can also then find everything at Frazley.com. I try to have a link to every podcast and stuff like there. So it pretty much just shout into the void and say Frazley, and I will come running and stuff like that.
He'll appear like a gnome from the mist.
Just don't get me wet after midnight, and don't feed me.
That's it. Don't want many mini Frazleys. That's what
I don't want evil Frazleys.
That's it. You can find me at Titans Creed on the Twitters. You can follow my specific gaming stuff on at Gaming Phoenix. You can find me 5 to 7 days a week on twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions. You can find this podcast on youtube.com/Project Phoenix Productions and all good podcast catchers. Yes, I believe that's it. Thank you very much for watching live or watching on the VOD. Thank you very much for listening on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, we hope to have more stories around Azeroth. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.